This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Welcome, those of you here and online. This is the Monday, April 28th, 2025 meeting of the Easthampton Energy Advisory Committee. Jamie Paquette, the chair, currently joined here at Cassie Eckhoff, members online, John Pepe and Josh Rosenblatt, and here Sophie Bertano, the sustainability coordinator for the city of Easthampton. Connie Dawson should potentially be joining us at some point. But without any delay, we can get right into the agenda here. First is to review and approve the minutes from March 20th that Connie previously circulated. Anybody have any?
Yeah, I have revisions.
You have revisions?
Do you have to wait till Connie gets here?
No, you can go ahead and speak them into the record now.
Okay. On item 4, about the EDIC Business Recognition Program, EDIC is not requesting oversight of the program. They want to sign the letter and then goes out with the announcement.
Okay.
And the rest is true. I wanted to see clarification. I thought, Jamie, that you were going to bring this up at City Council in a consolidated EAC report. So,
which I still haven't actually gotten on their agenda. So.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that that is indeed the process.
For the EDIC program, the good recognition program.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. Yes, I can bring that to them. We can talk briefly about it again here today, just
cool.
when we get to that part. But so you want to make changes to that as far as like the minutes go. That was it for your side. Okay. Anybody else have anything they noticed that needs to be changed or updated?
Nope.
Okay, then we will table any move to review and approve till those changes have been made. We'll pass those along to Connie, or you can maybe feel free to go.
Do you want to make a motion to approve as amended?
We can do that.
Move it along the process.
Move it along, sure. Ooh.
So that's what I'll do.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so we do have a motion to approve the minutes with the amendments as Cassie outlined. We have a second for that. Seconded by Josh. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so we will make those changes. They are approved otherwise, and we'll have those sent to the clerk's office.
Cool.
Yes, thank you for not having us delay that. Better than me remembering to put on the next agenda. Yeah. That's a pretty minor change overall. All right, on to the public speak. We don't have any members of the public here at the moment, so you can pass right over that. Into some committee updates. I'll provide a quick update from the Bees Committee, or Sophie, feel free to chime in with anything I'm overlooking. But we had a meeting last week there, and lots of stuff happening. They had a workshop at the new library space a few weeks ago, sort of more of an informal meetup than a workshop, I guess, but just for people to get together and sort of talk about gardening plans and like what they want to do at their own homes, things like that. So it was just a chance for people to get together and kind of share information or plan things out. And they're looking to do more things like that. They've had several successful events now. There's definitely a lot of interest around these topics in town. So beyond that, they're looking at doing some more invasives removal in various parts of the city, as well as getting a sort of pollinator, sort of sample, what's the word? Demonstration garden, yeah. And looking at sites for that, mostly along the rail trail, kind of by the mill buildings. So be looking to put in, a demonstration garden and I guess probably have some signage and things like that too, once that's in place. So those are a couple of major highlights. Anything else I'm forgetting from that side of things?
I think the only other thing that's bees related, but is not necessarily being pushed by the Bees Committee, myself and Pasqualina and Ava, the conservation agent, are hosting an event. It's going to be on June 7th from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. It's this Art in the Garden event.
Right.
So we are screening applications right now for people to basically offer up their home gardens for the day to be put on a walking trail map. And we're going to be pairing those home gardens with various art installations to be set up on the day of. So we'll have more details about that event early May. If anyone is interested in potentially volunteering, I think we're looking for 5 people. Josh, that's a yes.
5
Yes.
demonstrations.
Yeah, if I'm not too far away, I'm up on Ashley Circle, but we've got a gorgeous pollinating garden that we put in
Wonderful.
a year and a half ago.
Cool. So I will send you the form that we have that you can fill out, put your information down. We're
Great.
focusing sort of on the Cottage Street Cultural District for this year, but collecting information for people for future events as well. In terms of volunteers for just kind of being stationed at the gardens on the day of, not necessarily hosting. We're looking for people to kind of just stand there, pass out information, direct people where they need to go. I got a couple people from Bees that sounded interested, but I think I need a couple more firm commitments. So if anyone knows of anyone or is interested, let me know. And I think that's kind of it for
Okay.
Bees.
Yeah, there's another form also, just if you're interested in the
Yes.
event, if you want to know when there's more, when the map gets put out or when with the various places to visit. So you can also fill that out and get filled in. Josh, one thing that might be of interest, and I can mention this, is, since you have a cool spot that you've done there with and I haven't actually seen it, but I'd like to. But we, maybe be looking for opportunities to do sort of case studies of like people that did transform their yards and things like that. So you could be an interesting, focal point for something like that. Maybe
Okay.
maybe we have a conversation about what, how you got started, what you did, what you wanted to accomplish, and like just kind of lay it out. That would be cool. I'd like to hear that myself, quite honestly.
Great. Yeah, and include me in. I'll send I have a couple of good pictures from last year. I'll send them to the group just as an
That'd be
FYI.
great.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so that is what's happening on the Bees Committee side. I put the Energy Advocate on here too, just as just to get an update on where we are. You probably know best. I
Yes.
don't know anything more.
Unfortunately, I do.
Unfortunately, you do.
No.
I don't want to say it's been a little bit of a roller coaster, I think, with it. So
Yeah.
we had the I can't remember if I had been to the orientation at our last Energy Advisory Committee, but there was an orientation on April 4th for the Community First Partnership, and they kind of laid out what the rest of the program is going to look like and what we can expect. I have been to a couple of these sort of subsequent training meetings with them since then. The invoices have been put in. We have not received the grant funding yet. And so are looking at pushing back the start date for the advocate until we have the money.
Is this Westhampton, Easthampton, Northampton?
Correct.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
And the holdup on getting the money is.
So interestingly, it's actually a very normal timeline.
Okay.
It's just that we sort of jumped the gun a little bit in terms of hiring. I think that since everyone involved is new to the program, weren't really sure what that was going to look like. And ultimately, in hindsight, we would have waited until after the orientation to
I see.
sort of try to pursue that.
Okay.
So the holdup is on our end, not theirs. So
yeah.
it's a financial thing, and we can't have the advocate start obviously until we have the money to be able to pay her. So I communicated that with Emily today and gave my recommendation for an extended start date depending on when I think that the money is going to be there. But the invoices are in, and I've kind of done everything on my end, and I'm just waiting for that.
Are we gonna lose the candidate?
It's a possibility.
Yeah, we have a candidate identified.
Yes.
Essentially, yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. And all right. Well, I won't get into the nuts and bolts of that. Yeah, that's fine. That's the way I get. Can't
But
we,
it's
like figure out? Yeah. Or I don't know. I don't know enough about city finances to advocate for anything there. So just some wishful thinking. Yeah.
Learning as I go.
Yes. Okay. Well, I appreciate the update, and I know there's still, based on the emails, I'm getting still a lot more like things happening, right, in terms of like getting people up to speed and like more workshops to explain the program and what things are doing. So, are you taking part in most or all of those? Okay.
I will be at all of those, and then we have weekly or bi-weekly meetings set up with our program director.
Right.
Kind of touch base with her and make sure we're on the same page, get our questions answered. So,
yeah,
our first one is Thursday. So I'll meet with her then and
okay. Yeah, I know you spared me and Lindsay from having to be involved in like every email chain or every meeting.
And they
So
send a lot of emails.
I do appreciate
yes,
that.
of
And
course.
like, but if you do need something from me,
Okay.
or like need to bounce something off,
Okay.
whatever, like
Cool.
just let me
Will do.
know. I'll try to be as quick as I can at
Okay, yeah.
getting things turned around, but I don't think I'm really the sticking point. So, good. All right. Well, we will come back to the community first partnership. I mean, probably not too many more updates to share there, but we'll talk more about that in a second. But let's get into like the big piece of news, I think, for this meeting, which is the Climate Leader Community Certification, which we received, which is very exciting. And kudos to everybody here in this committee for the work that they did on that, helping us get that together, working with Cassie, of course, who is the linchpin of the whole operation and getting that together. Thanks to the mayor's office for their support in helping us put everything together as well. And we're very excited about having been one of the first municipalities in the state to get that. I don't know how many were in the first cohort that received it, but
I don't think they put out the list yet.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to know. Yeah.
yeah, so maybe we'll find out more this Friday when they've said there's going to be some sort of public announcement. And they've asked us not to go anywhere too public with this. I know this is a public meeting and could certainly be listened to and reported on in the meantime, but we hope that Friday's gonna be a big announcement somewhere. And we're hoping to have several people from the city there to take part in whatever is planned.
But we don't know what it is.
But we don't know what
Okay,
they
I
just
just want
said
to
May
make sure I didn't
2nd.
miss anything because I'm sitting like waiting for.
I haven't seen another email come through
Okay.
on it yet.
Okay.
So as of half an hour ago.
All right, same here.
Yeah, so I'm imagining they're not going to wait till Thursday to tell us what's going on, I would hope. But there may just be some things going on in the background that trying to figure out what to put together.
Yep.
I mean, location being one thing, like, right, where are they possibly
Where
going to do this, depending on where all these municipalities are? Are they trying to find a central location?
Yep.
Or are they going to do individual things in each place? So, but a very exciting thing to have going beyond the green communities thing into this new climate leader communities cohort. So on that note, the green communities still requires our annual reporting. I put there's a grant proposal thing here. We actually did not put any grant proposals through last year. I don't think so. I think that's just a vestige of previous agendas that I didn't remove. But John, is there anything new from you or Sophie on reporting for green communities?
It's not due till next fall, September, October.
Okay.
I offered to Sophie to get together at some point to show her how I did the data, how to move around inside there. I know you can get some help maybe from Chris Mason if he's available, but whenever you're ready. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I spoke with Chris a couple of weeks ago and he kind of gave me an overview, but I do think it would be helpful for us to sit down and I can kind of ask my specific questions.
Yeah.
I did receive this letter from the Mass Department of Energy Resources about the large building energy reporting.
Okay.
Is that a separate program?
Yes.
It is.
Yeah. It's regardless of whether you're a green community or not in the state, you're obligated to do energy reporting on these large buildings, or large building owners are obligated.
Got
Yeah.
it. Okay, so that's due June 30th. And I had a quick question if there's time in the,
Go for it.
okay. So they basically sent us a list of the buildings that they need the data on. One of them is this Drury Lane, which is a water treatment
So
facility. It's not a building.
Yeah.
Have you reported on that particular location in the past, or should I reach out to them and potentially contest that being on the list? Because Greg was a little confused about why it would be included.
You talking to me?
Yes. If you have you done the large building reporting in the past?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, this is new. This is
I
a
think
new program. Were you gonna say something, Josh?
Just a quick question. Is this Drury Lane in Easthampton?
Yes.
That's if it's the same one, there's one near my house and there's no water. There's a big water tank on there.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that
No
might
water,
be,
no
that might
water.
be all it is. Yeah.
Okay,
So
yeah.
that would probably qualified for getting dumped from the list. You know, you
Okay.
could argue to get it off the list for reporting. I mean, they may be generated, they may be, have pumps and things there that are using electricity. And we probably have a record of it in the DPW, energy bills.
Yes, they pay a small energy bill per month on it. They were just not sure if it should be counted. So I'll reach out to them and let them know, because it's not a treatment facility. It's really just a tank. So I'll get that confirmed and then start inputting this information.
I think the criteria are, they're looking at occupied buildings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's definitely not. So I didn't know if it was a size thing because it's over 20,000 square feet, but it's not an occupied building. So I'll reach out to them on that.
Aquaman's fortress.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, so then, so next reporting due in the fall, as John pointed out, for green communities, for climate leader communities. I don't know if there's going to be a reporting requirement for that, or any sort of like ongoing thing that we're going to have to do to maintain that status, like green communities does, or I guess we'll find out more as we get enrolled and as they roll things out. Now for green communities, we've probably missed the spring window for any of their grants, right? I think the grant is usually in March or April, I think, is the due date. So we're probably looking at the fall if there was something that we wanted to do, try to get a grant for. I don't think we have anything identified at the moment, unless there's some other things coming out of some of these conversations that are happening. But just to plant that seed, I guess, Sylvie, so that you can look into when the upcoming deadline would be, if there's anything that we might want to go after.
Okay.
The last thing that we did was the Teslas, the electric vehicles for the police department, was the last time we went in and received anything, but that's could be fully closed out at this point. So,
okay. Just out of curiosity, do you have like the actual applications that you could send me so I can review? Do you have access to that anywhere?
Possibly.
Okay.
If you look in I would go first to the shared energy advisory committee drive that Kathy originally set up. I was in there today, but I'd forget but you could look and see if that's in there.
Okay.
That would be my first thought. If not, the planning department is probably your next best bet.
Got it. Okay.
Because I don't think I would have been copied directly on
Okay.
anything. John.
Do we know whether the climate leader status in some ways supersedes and encompasses, the green community, so that now we're on this level? There's supposed to be a bunch of funding accessible to climate leader communities. And it'd be nice to get a list of what, I've seen some mention of it, but a nice concise list of what special funding and amounts are available for climate leaders. But I'm wondering if we can still apply as a green community as well as a climate leader, or is there, you don't allow duplication?
Right. Good question.
For sure.
Yeah, I would imagine there's two different pots of funds, right, or whatever, but could be
like double dipping.
Yeah, we are.
For sure. I can send you a document, John. I've already started looking into the grants and I've kind of wrote down some ideas and some bullet points about there's two particular programs, and I have an overview of both that I can show you. I'm not sure if we are closed off necessarily to the Green Communities grant, or if they just would prefer that we kind of go in this direction. But there is a lot of funding available for climate leaders specifically. So that's where I've been sort of focusing on, but I'll double check on that.
Okay. Can you put those documents? Can you put those documents in the EAC Google Drive, shared Google Drive?
Yeah.
Possibly, or email them to us or whatever.
Yeah, I'll make a note for the next agenda. Maybe we'll talk about that stuff in a little more detail.
Okay.
We'll get into some of these questions will be answered, and we can start to think a little bit more specifically about what we might want to do.
Okay.
Okay, so. Sorry. Okay, into the next portion of things is some of our public outreach, electrification and efficiency programs. So the Energy Advocate is for the Mass Save Community First Partnership, which we've talked a little bit, so we'll skip to that one first since we've already brought it up. Yeah, anything more to report on there in terms of like rollout?
I think that that's pretty much it. I was going to wait until we had the energy advocate here to start doing any kind of press for it. And since
Right.
that's been so up in the air, I have not started it. My goal is to have them here and have the money secured. I think the date I gave was June 16th.
Okay,
So fingers crossed that they want to stick around until then.
Right.
But
you find some sort of make work job for them until then.
so hopefully, yeah.
You need an assistant for this?
Exactly.
Find us for that, yeah.
So that's kind of where we're hoping to, at this point, have the rollout begin.
Okay,
The Electrify program will begin on May 6th. So that one is gonna now,
Electrify is May 6th.
yes, that's the
Okay.
first Electrify
And,
meetings.
okay, and so so move back up to that. Is everything good with the contract there? Has that all been settled with Mass CEC and Revise and whoever else?
Northampton took the lead on that. I
Okay.
will confirm with Gabi.
Can you let Connie?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Oh.
Um,
There she is.
Hi, Connie.
Hi.
Hey, Johnny.
We are currently in the, talking about the Electrify Easthampton, Northampton and Community First Partnership, portion of things here. So quick thing, backtrack, just the energy advocate hiring has been pushed a little bit because of funding is timing. So June 16th is what Sophie said is the target for maybe having that person on board, be able to start really rolling with that. But in the meantime, May 6th is the Electrify Easthampton, Northampton kickoff date. And so send it back to you.
yeah, so Northampton's really kind of taken the lead on that. I'll
Mhm.
confirm with Gabi what sort of is left to be done. She's going on vacation at the end of this week, so I'll get that information before she heads out.
Okay.
My impression is that we're all set and that the kickoff event is we're moving.
Great.
But I will double check and get back to you guys because I want to have that information correct.
Okay. And that meeting, go ahead, Connie.
What time is that at?
It's at 1 p.m. and it's going to be at the Northampton Senior Center.
Right.
Okay, so that is, yeah, I have that in the public outreach events here, actually,
yeah.
because that's the Electrify and
Yes,
CFP introduction. Okay, so it's all part of that.
correct. I think the CFP introduction
Is-
might be removed
Might be
from the
removed from
agenda.
that. Okay,
But yes.
we can do that right for another day. Okay,
That's just a press event. I mean, like a introduction, whoever wants to show up, it's also for the press. It's
Yeah.
not like an organizing meeting and organizing or planning meeting, right?
I don't believe so. My impression is that it's like a kickoff introductory event, and I
Okay.
believe that Ben from the Kappa office in Northampton is going to be hosting it, and he,
right.
yeah, will lead that.
Yeah, he's the one who told me about that date originally, which is why I have it on here.
Okay.
So I think that still leaves up in the air the question of, is the contract finalized
Yes, it
actually?
absolutely does.
And,
Wow.
is Revise ready to go, or what's the time frame for them actually?
How could they not? How could they have a kickoff event scheduled for about a week from now without the contract being in place?
Well, they scheduled it a while ago when we just
Oh.
sort of assumed that everything would be settled by now, I think.
Actually, you know what? I do remember Gabi sending me a thing
Okay,
that she had signed a contract. I believe it was that one. And I did have someone at Revise reach out to me today to get information so that they could start creating our web portal.
okay.
Oh, that's good.
So I think
That
that
is
I
good
do
news.
think that it is all set, but I, again, will double check on that because I kind of came in sort of in the middle of it
Yeah,
all. So
yeah. Well, this has been protracted, to say the
totally,
least.
yeah.
So, great. So it's great that there's, hopefully that means that everybody's moving forward and we
Yes,
can actually
yeah.
start spending some of this money.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
And saving some energy in
Right.
the
Oh,
in
yeah,
the bargain.
that too.
Yeah. Let's get some heat pumps going here. Okay, well, progress all the same for both those programs. Anybody have anything else, any other questions or anything to mention about that?
Quick comment for the future. We had applied also for a grant that is similar, but is specifically to target, low income communities.
Mhm.
We submitted it a couple weeks ago and haven't heard anything back, but it is a separate
Okay.
thing.
Oh, no,
Through-
is it the same thing? Basically, we send people to the community to educate.
Yes,
And then who's that funding from?
that funding is from, well, so the lead entity that applied for the grant actually is, an energy company that I'm blanking on the name of right now.
Okay.
And they just are allegedly using Easthampton as a community that they can target their resources to.
I see. Interesting. Okay.
So I can get more information on that as well. This is one of the many things that's kind of been swirling around,
Yeah.
but I don't expect to hear back.
Every once in a while, one of those things just like pops up out of seemingly nowhere. It's like, oh, okay.
We're doing that
doing
too.
this now. Okay. Yeah. If whatever more info you can provide, or if we know when we might hear, or when the company might hear back on that. I mean, it sounds like they'd be running it versus the city,
Correct,
but we would
yes.
just be facilitating.
Their effort.
Their
They
effort, or-
would be hiring someone to do the outreach, and
Okay.
it would just be in Easthampton is my impression. So
Interesting.
Bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, there's all these pots of money out there and all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's just that one that's maybe geared towards private companies versus municipalities or something. I don't know.
so.
All right. Back to the EDIC, the Business Recognition Program. Connie, one quick thing from the discussion of the minutes previously is that we had one change that Cassie wanted to make to the edict portion of that. Just in terms of that edict was not looking to necessarily run the program or to sign off on, but that they will go.
Or they're gonna sign the letter that goes out to the businesses.
Okay, I'll change that. Thank you. I'm always glad to know someone actually reads the minutes.
It's a joint effort of the chamber and edict. They'll be the signatories.
Okay. Got it.
And then the other thing that said, and if you go back and review this, but she was asking also about presenting information to the city council on everything that's going on. And I said, I have not actually gotten on their agenda.
Okay. I feel like I wrote in the minutes that we had said that you weren't going to try to get on the agenda. You were just going to do it during public speak.
And that I wasn't gonna go, Jamie was going to, I mean, I can be there, but Jamie's gonna present a consolidated.
Right. Yeah,
Yes,
right. It
it's
didn't,
there.
right. It didn't necessarily have to be on the agenda, but I was going to show up and do that. But I was at least going to reach out and sort of let them know
It makes sense.
if they
to me.
want to put it on the agenda versus
Right.
just doing a public speak. So I think that's where I need to just follow up and
Okay.
actually figure out when the city council meetings are. I think they tend to be on Wednesdays, which is not ideal for me, but try to make it work.
Okay. Thank you for that information.
Yeah, but we did approve the minutes with the changes.
Okay.
Otherwise. So once those changes are made, they can be submitted.
All right. Very good.
All right. So anything more that you should talk about with the business recognition program right now?
Not a thing.
Okay.
Definitive.
What are the next steps for getting that rolled out at this point?
Just some kind of blessing from
From the council
or whoever. I mean, it just feels like somebody needs to say this is a good idea or not. Okay,
right?
city council's June 4th.
That's the next one.
Oh, wait.
No, it's gonna be a May meeting.
La, la, la.
Are they still twice a
We're gonna
month
meet
right
for the
now?
5th.
So while you're looking that up, in terms of somebody needs to give the blessing, I mean, is that just up to us to basically say, yes, we want to do this? And then EDIC is supportive of it and whatever, do we need some sort of, official mayor or governing body to,
Okay, May 7th.
May
Is the next
7th? is the
city
next,
council.
okay.
Gee, I was kind of looking to you for guidance.
You're looking
on
at me
that.
for guy, yeah. I mean, it's an ad hoc thing, right? And it's like the criteria for it are already sort of set forth.
Yeah, they're in the form. I mean, I can write a memo to the mayor.
Yeah, why don't we do that?
Okay.
Quick memo to the mayor saying we want to do this. We're gonna, criteria that we're gonna use, what the application process is gonna be like, or,
Okay.
And whoever's gonna oversee it, we're gonna put together like another committee to just sort of give their blessing to everybody that wants one kind of
Okay.
thing. And then, maybe we could even request a little bit of money to print the stickers and things like that too. So why don't we put that in there also?
Okay.
John?
No, it's okay. Never mind.
Okay.
I'll send you a draft.
Sounds good. All right, so we'll do that. We'll put it in front of the mayor. And assuming there's no pushback, then we can actually figure out.
Do
We
it.
had to put it on the website as well somewhere, right? We
Yeah.
had to get that added to the climate action plan page or something.
Yeah.
So we can work through that with the technology group, and then maybe there's a quick application you could even put, a Google form they could link online where people, businesses
That's what we've
could
got.
apply.
Yeah,
That we got.
Google
Okay,
form. Yep.
perfect. Sounds good to me. Anybody else have anything, discussion or questions about that? All right. Into our public outreach events, I put the working group updates. I've realized the working group, the Eco Initiative, does have a
Well, that
name.
was cool.
Does
to
have a
see
name
that.
now. And John, I saw you shared the presentation via email earlier. I did throw that in the Google Drive as well. I created a quick folder for the Eco Initiative in there. But you want to give us an update on what's been happening with that?
Well, that would be Sophie, but all I can tell you about is that piece that I was trying to figure out a way that we have some sort of simple visual presentation of the climate action plan for events that we do. And the guide that the consultant did isn't really that. What that is telling residents what they can do and the programs available. That's important, but this is, what is the plan? How are we getting there? What are the components of it? And try to do it in a way that's, you could have it on a large storyboard behind your table that people can ask questions about it and you can explain things. So I've taken a crack at drafting materials that would, maybe by some more artistic, graphically oriented person could touch it up and, there's content changes too, but also just presentation. So that's what I've been working on. I'm concerned that we don't have a good way of communicating what's really in the climate action plan, short of people reading a 120-page document. Also, what's his name from Sean? I was talking with. I met with him about what materials they had from bees for their, because I think we need not just the presentation of the climate action plan, but a short. I think we've talked about this, but a short, concise, but meaningful, substantive thing about each of our different initiatives, whether it's, municipal aggregation, the Electrify Northampton, et cetera. Sean said, what about, they felt they needed elevator pitches. So that's another way of communicating with the public. And, can we develop some elevator pitches and have everybody familiar with it? Anyway. So that's a draft I'm looking for. I sent it to Sophie a bit back. I imagine she'll play a big part in that. What happened? Oh, I
We
see.
lost our lives.
But I'll keep working on it. But feedback is welcome, and at some point we should have something to present at Cultural Chaos. Maybe too soon, probably too soon, but maybe not. 6
Month
weeks.
and a half away.
Take a look at it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. I only got to glance at it briefly today, but I will
Okay.
take a closer look. And then you've been talking to Sean, but I know there's been like a group meeting a little bit more too. Maybe that's Connie. You're more involved in that, and Sophie.
Yeah.
Connie, do you want to give us an update on what you have been talking about?
Are you talking about the meeting that we're having with Sophie, like our subcommittee? Is that what you're talking about? What are you talking about?
Yeah, the Eco Initiative.
Yeah, we're going to have our next meeting tomorrow.
Okay.
And Sophie, I think you should talk about it.
Yeah, I can take it. Absolutely.
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot, Connie.
But thank you for including me.
Yeah, honestly, the last meeting that we had, we were just talking about kind of next steps for the sort of launch that we had on Earth Day. And then we had our first event, which was the tree distribution on
Right.
Saturday. And thank God for Connie at the tree distribution. She was a rock star. I have to give her a shout out, like running up to people in the parking lot. We gave away all of those trees.
100 trees.
We gave away 100 trees that
In the rain.
in the rain,
Yeah.
in the cold.
Wow.
And she was selling it like you would not believe, because they're going to be enormous trees. And so getting people to
Balsams. I can't believe anyone wanted
they're balsam fir trees.
Did
So-
they-
and
very big trees.
we found some fantastic people that are really excited about them. There was a man who came up to us. He had 5 acres of land and he took like 5 trees. We were just like,
very excited. Yeah.
you. So there's definitely gonna be some trees planted. I would be interested to see what the percentage is of the 100 trees that we gave away that are actually gonna like come to fruition. But so we did the first event. I think that maybe at the next meeting, it would be helpful to talk a little bit more about kind of what we want the events to look like in terms of the connection to the climate action plan. And I had sent out the agenda earlier today for the meeting tomorrow, but I can go back in and revise it just to sort of incorporate some of what John was saying about making specific connections to what the climate action plan entails. Because I think a lot of our events are sort of focused on one specific action. It's planting trees, it's collecting water for rain, it's composting, it's themes within the climate action plan, but there hasn't been much connection to the plan itself. So we can talk a little bit more about what that's going to look like. And I'll take a look at John's presentation and come with some thoughts tomorrow. But yeah, as for updates, we're just continuing to meet, and every meeting is kind of talking about what the next event is going to look like and what materials we need. So yeah.
Okay. And just so I know too, who all is involved in that group? 'Cause it's you and
It's
Connie.
myself, Connie Dawson, Connie Denham on City Council.
Mhm.
John is in that group. Allison from the planning department is in that group,
Okay.
and
Sean.
Sean,
Yeah.
correct.
And the DPW, what's his name? He's in the group, right? The head of the
Correct.
DPW.
Greg is not in the group. The group
No.
is just who's been meeting, which is, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So, right. So, and Connie is like right in the bees committee now as
Mhm.
well. So
Yes.
great.
John, this looks like, I love your idea of having a storyboard to take around with us. Is that something we might want to spend more time talking about next meeting? Now that we have
Yeah,
fruits of John's labor,
absolutely. Yeah. Just like,
kind of mocking it up or.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that'd be good. I mean, yeah, maybe there's even a way, to like a visual presentation if you're, linking, almost like a flow chart kind of thing. I hate to say that exactly, but you've got the main themes that Sophie's talking about, right? Here's the main themes of the climate action plan. And then maybe, attached to each of those, like here's the actual initiative. It's like tree giveaways and it's electrify and it's municipal aggregation. And like all those things are kind of branching off of those central themes somehow. That could just be like one like visual
Mhm.
way that's like not so narrative specifically, but then you could have like deeper, narrative, or like the elevator pitch is kind of the next piece, which is like, 30 seconds about each one or a quick paragraph about each thing. And then maybe there's, tying it all together as some bigger, more robust sort of thing that like gets into more detail about each thing and how it relates back to the plan. I don't know. But I think that'd be a great thing for discussion further, and we'll be on the other side of the May 6th, the rollout event for that thing, and aggregation probably still won't be fully up and running at that point, but yeah, planning to get something in ready for cultural chaos, to have something visual to be
That'd
able
be
to
cool.
have there
Maybe,
along the
can I
lines.
say?
Yeah, go ahead.
We could certainly, and I think it'd be a good thing to focus more in depth on it at our next meeting. But in the meantime, there's going to be roughly a month of work that can go on it. So people sending comments, ideas. Sophie's going to be, probably ultimately the one, responsible for the product. And so I'll talk with Sophie, and but we can do some work between now and the next meeting, so we have
Sure.
something more of a finished product or close to it more of a serious product, whatever, to discuss with people.
No, I agree. Yeah, I wasn't advocating for like kicking it, a whole month down the road. And especially if it's something that you all can start talking about more tomorrow too. I don't know. I don't want to, interject in the agenda that you have for that, but if conversations like that are leading towards solution.
Can I just say something about the task force, whatever, our initiative? Connie and I are representing the EAC, so, but we're not wild cards, and we're not supposed to be wild cards or running our own shows. We're supposed to be representing EAC, so it's important that we have communication with the whole committee about what the initiative's about, so we can have our and what the educational materials and initiatives might look like, and get ideas from the committee, so we bring that to the group.
Right.
So I don't want to be operating.
This is our chance for all of us to actually discuss, right, in ways that we can't otherwise. So, yeah, totally hear you. So if there are things that you want to, talk further about, now's the time, certainly. So Connie.
I just was thinking that now that we're sort of moving forward with initiatives and the Bees Committee is also moving forward, I'm wondering whether we should be consolidating our two committees more so that we're all doing the same thing together instead of them trying to do stuff and us trying to do stuff. That seems like not the best way to handle. They have a few people, we have a few people. Maybe it's time to think about consolidating our two committees. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know if it's a good idea or not.
Well, that's not something we can do. I mean, we have a representative on the Bees Committee. Like that's a separate mandate. They were created, through the mayor's office and the council, as a separate thing. I don't think we can just, merge them. I think that's what the working group.
We'd have to get, we'd have to have everybody on the same page in the city to agree to do it. But it could be done. But
certainly. Yeah, I think there's enough, there's enough difference between the focus on what, that's Bees is more natural environment. We're more built environment. I would say is kind of the natural division of those things a little bit. Not to say that they're mutually exclusive, but I think we do want, that's part of the purpose of the eco initiative, the working group, whatever you want to call it, is to bridge that gap some, right? So that we are working together, we are doing things jointly, but there's going to be things that they do that are not going to have anything to do with it. If they're going to do like invasives removal somewhere, like that's a Bees initiative that doesn't require, us to have a lot of input into that. And like, oh, this is what you should do. Let them, do that. That's their area of expertise, right? There's a lot of good people that know a lot of stuff about that world in that committee, and I'm like the least knowledgeable. And while here, we have people who are knowledgeable about the issues that we're talking about, and we've been working on these things for a while. So there is crossover. I think with the public facing stuff, especially Connie, I know that's your focal point for a lot of this time, is to engage members of the public. And I think working together with them on events and on things and on materials is a great use of everybody's time for that. But I think it would almost get too cluttered to try to put all those things together in one committee.
Okay.
But I reserve the right to change my mind in the future as well. So anything else leading into the group meeting tomorrow that we want to discuss or give some voice to right now?
Well, I guess I will just pose, because I think I'll keep bringing this up, I think, with the other group is there was some acknowledgement that at some point, rather than just sort of ad hoc events that are occurring along the way, and half of which are not even ones that EAC is directly sponsoring or running, that at some point we ought to be doing forums, outreach, a show and tell of some kind about the whole scheme, the climate action plan, and not just be dribbles here and there of what am I trying? Dribbles a little bit here and there, stuff coming out as, you know, as we do a tree dissemination or the cultural chaos or whatever the other events are. And, you know, and I think the programs were the components of what we're of our program are getting off the ground and are young, and so we need some time to, you know, be able to understand them ourselves before we present them to the public. But I think we ought to be thinking about, you know, at least towards the fall, of having some more major outreach or events or, you know, forums or something that's really about the overall plan, not just the individual, you know, things that contribute to the plan. That's my thought. And you know, I'm going to keep saying that in the other group. But if the other group doesn't want to do that, then maybe our committee can think about doing it.
Yeah. Well, I think, and Connie, you just a second. Yeah, I think especially around, you know, with this climate leader certification happening and, like, you know, some public announcement around that, I think that's a good thing to tie all this to potentially. And then we could focus an event around, like, you know, what does it mean to be a climate leader community? Like, why did we want to do this? What are we doing to, you know, what do we do to earn that designation? And what are we doing to keep it, or to be, you know, what does that leadership look like?
Yeah.
Connie.
I was just going to say that I would be interested in thinking about having some basic information about the climate action plan at every event that we do, but I'm not as enthusiastic about having a specific event that goes over everything that's on the climate action plan. I just feel like it would be a lot of information that's about what the city is doing. I feel like I'd rather have it part of other events that we're doing that are sort of more specifically things that residents would be interested in, like the rain barrel handout, or talking about composting, or some of the other things that we're planning to do, but always in the background have that information for people who want more information, and then making sure that we have what's it called? The
QR code.
Yeah, so that people,
making QR codes.
If they want to go to it, they can get more information.
Right.
That's my feeling about it. Instead of trying to have an event that's just outlining the whole climate action plan, that would be my preference for how to inform people about it.
I wonder if we want to talk about this more tomorrow too. I don't want to eat up too much time on on this agenda, but it could potentially turn into like a question and answer session for people that are interested in learning more. It could be more of a collaborative kind of conversation, as opposed to just we're sitting there and we're throwing a bunch of information at people about what it is. It can be, you know, more of a conversation, a more collaborative kind of event. And I love the idea of that, because I think that, you know, ultimately this is to get people aware of the climate action plan. So we can talk more tomorrow about sort of putting something on the calendar that is more focused on getting people's questions answered, and getting more specifically into what the city might be doing and what businesses are doing, and not just what residents can do necessarily. So I think it's a good idea.
Well, luckily we have a place we're going to be able to talk about it, so that's going to be great.
I will add it to the agenda. I'll send out a revised one tomorrow, and I think it would be a great thing to kind of flesh out a little bit more, because it's a great idea. So
yeah, and keep in mind too that there's going to be more natural outreach happening as these programs get up and running, right? Because so much of it is about getting word out to people, or getting people interested and enrolled in things. Even with, you know, aggregation, with the business recognition program, right? There's all these different communities and targets that we're trying to reach out to. So, you know, doing one, you know, a big centralized event could be a way to hit a lot of those at one time, especially if you've got like an energy advocate or somebody, you know, it Revise is putting something together because they're trying to get a lot of eyeballs on stuff, because they're trying to attract attention for people and maybe bring people in from, you know, surrounding communities as well. So I think that there's ways that we can potentially, you know, piggyback off stuff like that. You know, there's the things that we're doing as well, like we mentioned, trees and rain barrels and you know, other events. We can look at doing something else like at the library or something like that, inviting the members of the public to come learn about one specific part and then talk briefly about how maybe that ties into the overall climate action plan. And then there's QR codes or there's quick bits that we have visually or printed that people can take and learn more. Use those as a gateway, an entry point to the larger thing rather than trying to be like digesting everything down, in one bit that people can understand, which is challenging given how big the plan is.
I do think with cultural chaos, we need to really think about what we want to focus on, because as you said, John, I mean, that's not really our event by any means, but we are going to be there. So what do we want our presence to say? And we are going to think about that.
Yeah.
So as of right now, and this is open to change, the cultural chaos event was going to be more specifically focused on the Girl Scouts involvement with the
I forgot about that.
just because it's a big fundraising opportunity, and that's one of the projects that we're working on that we are going to need to raise funds for. So, I mean, that's not to say that we can't have another sort of climate action plan approach of information.
Too. I mean, it really has more to do with what the bees are doing, don't you think?
Sure. Yeah, I think as of right now, a representative from the bees will be there, I will be there, and then the Girl Scouts will be volunteering and selling butterfly houses. I think we were talking about to raise money specifically for that project, but that's not to say again that we can't have more.
So that's fine. That will be our focus. We'll think about more integrating gardens and non-invasive plants and all that stuff. Okay, that's good. I like it.
Great. All right. So cultural chaos is on here as well as a public outreach thing, but you all talk more about that tomorrow. We can discuss more at the next meeting. I do think we want to have some presence there and be able to talk about some of the other energy initiatives that are going on. I mean, by that time, aggregation may be in full swing in terms of like rollout and everything. So we'll definitely want to be able to have people there that can talk about that and answer questions and those sorts of things. So just plant that.
Cool.
Can't stop fidgeting with it, I know. Okay, so I look forward to hearing more about your meeting tomorrow and then any other subsequent ones between now and next meeting. And come back to us with what other input or what sort of fleshed out ideas that we need to discuss or as a full group. Talked about aggregation a little bit. There's not a ton of update here other than they've moved the bid day up. I think May 21st is what's currently on the calendar for when they're going to have I think bids coming back from the various energy suppliers. So be able to review those and then make a decision from there. So that's going to be right after I think our next meeting, because we're meeting May 19th. We moved it up a little bit to avoid Memorial Day. So I imagine we'll be a little bit in a position of stasis with this until even after the next meeting. But I'll see if there's any updates to share the next time around with what to expect for that. And then again, there will be some requirements once that happens to start getting word out to the public, letting everybody know that there's an opt-out period, explaining the program, getting everything up and running for, at that point, probably July, I'd say at the earliest for it to actually be in place. But it'll just depend on what the bids look like, and hopefully they'll be advantageous, especially when going into I always forget. I think electricity tends to get cheaper in the summer, right? I think the price usually goes down in July and then up in January. I could have that backwards, but
I think it's always expensive.
it's always expensive. Well, like everything, yeah. I mean, that there's certainly a lot
Air
of
conditioning versus heating.
yeah, exactly. All right, so that's it on aggregation. The next couple things are just kind of holdovers. Electrification, community solar partnership. I don't think a lot's been done on either of these. I don't think there's a lot necessarily to be done on either of them. I probably still owe Sunwealth a response of some sort, I think, to try to get that moving forward. But I'm kind of waiting to see if we're, once the aggregation stuff and all these other pieces are moving at the same time, that would probably be the time to have another offering potentially for their community solar product, which is again targeted at low income and environmental justice communities, specifically what they do. Anyone have anything about either of those or anything else that we haven't discussed so far?
It's not too soon to think about tchotchkes for cultural chaos. There came to my mind. Do we want to do tchotchkes this year?
Like
Last year we did stickers
right.
or tattoos. I forget which one.
That's right. And then Bees was giving away some stuff too. They had like seed packets or something they were giving away, maybe.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Then I got them a bee tablecloth, and I need to know if you want it, something like that again.
Okay. And she said Girl Scouts are going to be doing a fundraiser sale kind of thing. I don't know. Is there anything we want to?
What do you guys think?
Giveaways or?
Can I ask a quick question? So do you guys have a table for the Energy Advisory Committee?
No.
Okay, do you, like, what does the presence look like, I guess, at the fair? Like, are you there to just engage with people? Or?
Yeah, like last year,
Okay.
so last year was through the planning department, right? And Cassie had it set up, and then, B showed up and we showed up and we just kind of shared space in the tent, and we had stuff to talk about, they had stuff to talk about, and Connie spent most of the time chasing people down in the street to,
She does that?
that's, I know, that's her
My
calling.
forte.
Yeah.
But I mean, while we're discussing this, there is still a question about whether or not we can use the tent and the tables and the other things that belong to the city. As of right now, we are not allowed to use that stuff. And it would be nice if we could change that so that we have access.
We could last year.
I tried to use it earlier this year when we did the electric vehicle event, and I was told that we were not allowed to use it. So
The city will have it set up for cultural chaos. It's not like we're going to be standing. They'll have their stuff there, like in DPW or planning or whoever's got the stuff. But I think you're talking about, Connie, like in general, if we want to do another event on our own, like can we get stuff from them?
well, and I think we should double check. Is the DPW planning to put up a tent and a table? Is that something DPW is planning to do?
Can I
If they
interject?
are, it's not related to my table. I reserved the table with Pasqualina in planning that's specifically for the Eco Initiative Girl Scouts.
Okay, great. And
So
did you ask if we could use their tent?
I did not, but I can.
We could, if we could.
Can I interject?
Yeah.
I think I've been told a few times that spaces for in cultural chaos, that's already been decided by the committee months in advance. So if we're going to try and set up a table or a tent or something like that, I don't think we'll be allowed to. And it's not because of who we are, it's just because we're doing it at the very last minute.
Yeah, I wasn't actually talking about
chaos.
at cultural chaos. I was talking about the tent and the table and whether or not we could use the ones that the city owns, wherever we happen to want to do something.
Oh, at other times, but
Access them.
about talking about cultural chaos. So
Right. No, I mean, yeah, cultural chaos, it sounds like, I think our assumption is that we would be able to share, whatever space the city has, we'd be able to, occupy some of that space with our stuff, our people to talk about things. And, as Sophie's saying, there's another direction that some of that is going with the Girl Scouts and everything, which is great.
Which is great. I think that's
We
wonderful.
can also just be a part of that space, I think, knowing that we don't have our own.
Right. I actually assumed that we were doing that. I just would like to know whether we can use the tent.
Yeah. So,
pity.
well, now that we have, a city employee affiliated with us, that
Go
may
for
be
it.
an easier lift. Like, it might be easier for somebody to say
Maybe.
DPW or whatever, like, hey, we're doing an event this weekend. I need to grab stuff.
No pressure, Sophie.
Yeah. We just
That's
dump all of
not-
our expectations.
It's
and,
actually
like,
not the
hopes and dreams.
DPW, it's the planning department that apparently has this stuff.
yeah.
So they're the ones who have to let us use it.
Well, and I imagine DPW has stuff too, but I could be wrong.
I asked and he said they didn't.
Wow.
I don't know. Sophie is going to solve this for us.
All right, well, there's other people, yeah, there's new people in the planning department too, right? So maybe that stance will soften.
If there's a particular event, Connie, that you need those materials for, let me know and I can speak with planning. I think for cultural chaos, if you want to have a tent and a table, there needs to be the formal sort of process, the reservation process. So I think for that, it's too late. It's not going to be an option for this year, but for future reference, let me know and I can speak with them.
Well, what you're doing with the Girl Scouts and the Bees Committee, that table is reserved.
That table is reserved.
And who is getting the tent? I'm sorry to be so hung up on this, but who is getting the tent and the table for them? Do they think the city is going to loan them one, or are the Girl Scouts doing this? Who's doing it?
So it is me. It's really, Bees is involved solely because of the subject matter that we decided on for this particular event. But I spoke with Pasqualina and Allison in planning, who let me know that they set aside a table specifically for the Eco initiative for that day. So I will confirm those details, but Eco has a table formally reserved, not necessarily Bees. It's more like for
that's
me,
fine.
kind of. I don't want to say that.
I think
I don't want to say that it's for me, but that's.
No, that's what I thought we were doing. Actually,
Yes, okay.
Once again, it would be nice if we could put that tent over the table.
So I think that I think the table is going to come from planning for this, for what Eco is doing at the event. I think that's going to come from them.
And they have the tent. So if they would let us also use the tent at the
I
same
believe
time.
that's, yeah.
That's
Maybe I shouldn't take that as a given, but I would just sort of assume that it'd be part and parcel of
I will confirm that, but it sounds
considering the
like,
need
yeah.
for the- there's no weather rescheduling for that event,
Right.
so it's rain or shine.
Right.
You can be there this year. Anyway, you all can, yeah, I'm not to push this off, but you all can talk more about it tomorrow as well. Are you kidding?
Especially since Allison from planning will be at our event tomorrow, so you can ask someone from planning specifically what that looks like. She has more information than me, so.
Yeah. It could be that I moved the sensor thing. I think that's
Oh,
That's how part moves on the side. Anyway, all right.
So do you want a Bees tablecloth? Your basic,
That would be adorable. Yes, if you have one.
so I
Great.
ordered a plastic, horrible, hideous thing from
I love it.
Oriental Trade.
Thank you.
If there is something else that we want to have there, I don't know. Yeah, we don't necessarily want to clutter the space, but it can be fun to have a giveaway of some sort, or like, things that people can take. Nothing immediately pops to mind as like the obvious answer to that, but if you want to, you can come back next time with some ideas.
It's like stickers.
It's like stickers, it's true. Yeah.
We got good ecology stickers last year, if anybody remembers. So I'm just gonna executive fiat handle
There you go.
this, if that's okay.
Do it. Committee of one.
Great.
Be your own subcommittee.
The sticker
The sticker committee, there we go. Okay, anything else, cultural chaos or otherwise, for today? Any other initiatives, any other projects, programs, topics of conversation?
So I think John is going to be attending this as well, but there's a climate leaders conference at Bentley on Wednesday of this week. And I had a logistics question. Is that different from the climate leaders designation? Because this is through Mass Energize. This is not through DOER.
Are they calling it climate leaders?
They are. That's
Okay.
what's.
No, I think this is a Mass Energize thing. It's not
Yeah.
sponsored by DOER.
That's what I thought. I thought they
Yeah.
were just using the language as like you can
Yeah.
lead in climate.
Yeah.
This thing. Okay. Yeah. So it's unrelated to.
They've got a lot of very relevant workshops and panels and presentations that are relate to all the things that a climate leaders are supposed to be doing. And, a lot of community organizing perspective in it.
But
from what I
not
see.
affiliated.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so you are going to that, John?
Yeah. I'm gonna be there a little late because I have a dentist appointment. Yeah.
Okay, well, certainly look forward to hearing how that goes and then what, ideas come from that you might want to bring back to us. Probably be some good stuff.
Mhm.
I don't know. I had to pay for it for myself, so I think
You're gonna be here too?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm going, so.
What was that, John?
I had to pay for it for myself, so I think any information is gonna cost the city, from my end.
All
The
right,
city
well,
paid for my attendance. so.
Same thing for you?
Yeah,
well, she knows the city paid for
the
her.
city paid.
She did. Okay, well, that makes sense. That makes sense.
I still don't have access to petty cash or anything yet, so, maybe someday.
Connie, did you have
Yeah.
something to add?
I just wanted to, I mentioned this to Sophie. I think that Arcadia would be very willing to let us have a tent at their folk festival. I had a tent there a long time ago about gas leaks, and I was wondering whether that would be a good time. It's in August, I think, whether it would be a good time to try to do something with Northampton and maybe also Mass Save and ask them to come and just a thought. I'm sure that they would let us do that. If we want to do it, I'd like to get in touch with them sooner than later. But I just wanted to throw that out.
Seems like something for the, whichever program is east or west.
Both of those, two of them. Well, it's, Mass, it's Community First Partnership or electric.
Yeah.
Not in West Hampton, but.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
those are both.
we're trying to collaborate and, and that's Arcadia is actually partly in Northampton and a lot of people general area come. It's not just East
Oh,
Hampton.
yeah.
But that's why I thought maybe it would be a good Mass Save event as well. They might be more interested because it does draw a lot of people from the area. Anyway, I just want to throw that out.
Reach out and just see what the process would be, if they'd be willing
Okay,
to
I'll
do
ask
that.
Josh.
And then-
I'll ask. Yeah, okay. I will do that.
Is that also like a backhanded way of like scoring free tickets to the folk festival to be able to sit there?
Manning the table, yes, you will be able to be there for free. At least that was my experience last time.
They get really good acts for that, so I
Yeah.
could probably dedicate part of
True.
the day. Get a lot of volunteers for that one. Great, thanks, Scott. That's a good idea.
Meeting.
Sorry, Josh. What was that?
I was gonna say, before we close, when's the next meeting?
Next meeting is, we just set for May 19th. I think you said you're gonna be away for that one, right?
I will. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also will be late again.
You'll be late again for that? Okay, I could look at pushing the start time back to 3:30, especially if we're gonna be able to get done in like an hour.
I would
now,
have to leave absolutely at 4:30.
and I've got soccer right now on Mondays, so I would also have to do the same.
Oh, it's May 19th?
May 19th, yeah. So,
There's a chance I won't be here on May 19th, but potentially could join remotely.
okay. All right, well.
So will we have a quorum?
We'll have a quorum. If we have me, you and John, that's a quorum.
Okay.
But I think again, maybe we'll look at starting at 3:30 for that one.
That would be great.
And yeah, Sophie, if you can make it or you can provide an update beforehand or what have you. But we'll just go with that. And then the next one is June 23rd, which is that fourth Monday. Yeah. Oh yeah, we'll be back to June 23rd. So it'll be post cultural chaos and everything then.
I can reserve the rooms for those too.
Yeah, I think they are reserved.
Are they reserved? Okay.
I sent to the clerk's office and everything got it, so I think we're good. They should be on the calendar already, I would hope. I should probably check that. But anyway, yeah, Josh, thanks for the clarification. Yeah, anyone who needs to join remotely, there will be links for that for these next two. Yeah, I'm trying to do them like 3 months at a time. If we if we need to entertain like any further changes, we can talk about that in June. But hopefully we can just sort of stick with the Monday late afternoon kind of time frame. Tends to work best for me. That way we don't keep Sophie after working.
Oh, good point. Yeah, that's a very good point.
Okay, anything else today?
I'll send the meeting out, the minutes out in a day or so.
Thank you, Josh, for doing that. Appreciate it.
Thank you, John.
Gosh.
All right, looks like we lost John already.
Yep.
Or maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I don't see him.
Yeah. So we just need a motion to adjourn.
Me, I
Motion,
move.
motion made.
I second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.